Well, guys, it wouldn't be the Life of an Average Joe podcast if we didn't have some average problems, right? What is going on with my cord? Um, this is a habit, and it kind of goes with my life right now. My life right now is scattered. I have so much in this head that I'm forgetting to get organized. I am very unorganized right now and I don't like it, and it shows. There are two things I am focused and organized on, and I'll tell you. When I'm at my job, I am organized on that, but I need time to do all these things that have been creeping up at my job. I am getting my job done right now, but the time management issue is a mess. So I have a lot of projects I got to do. Number two, stuff at my house. And I'm not talking about cleaning, things like that. I need to revamp my budget. And I'm doing it and I'm going, it's like a beautiful mind. I'm like, well, this money, and I need a car, and ugh. I am focused on when everything to do with Luke, I'm good. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of school stuff. We're wrapping up the year soon, a couple more months left. Homework, focusing on this, quality time, playing, being a dad, doing the things that we don't want to do as parents, but we have to. I got it. Personal life, don't worry about, throw it out the window, don't have one. But everything else, like I have a calendar, a planner, because I'm 46. I don't like putting things in my phone because that's more time that I have to look at my phone. And I already look at my phone enough. So I put it on a planner. I have not put things on a planner, and it is throwing me for a loop. Anyway, guys, this though, the podcasting, the recording, this is where I'm starting to get annoyed because yes, I am in the process of switching everything over, and I kind of have switched everything over to StreamYard, but I'm playing with it right now. So I'm recording episodes on StreamYard and I'm editing them and so I can be ahead of the game, but I'm not quite there yet. So I'm still using this platform, which is better than the previous platform, but not much. And I hate it. And it's throwing me off. There's a lot of chaos. Even look at the way the video is showing. Look at that. Oh my God. I'm going to stress out today. Oh, and my light is officially dead now. Officially dead. Had to order a new one. Why not? Oh, dude, money? Anyway. Free Starbucks. What does it say on here? You're amazing. Thanks. I recorded an episode with Nick Luck, one of my good friends. I want to give him his due. He's an awesome guy, and he's just as busy as I am. Maybe more with some of his projects. What is this? Yeah, maybe more with some of his projects. He's does all these different art shows. He's got 2 commission pieces he's working on. He's done a lot of stuff, not just for the podcast. But on a commission level, he's done the logos for me. He's going to be working on a Trash Talk logo soon. He is, getting his books published. He is, which is more than I can say for some other people I know. He is just done a lot. We talk all the time. He's been on the show. He's done TikTok lives. He's a good dude, and I love supporting him. He's done some pieces for me and my son for my son's birthday, when we moved into the new place. He did some cool pieces there. I need to fix this. And he's just done a lot. Well, he took the time out of his busy day to record a podcast with me. We hadn't done it in a long time, and it was a really good podcast. The sound was great. We had some video issues on his end, but we figured they'd be worked out. Everything was great. I go back to edit the podcast and you can't hear him. Not only can't you hear him, and I don't mean like from a level of, oh, he's muffled. No, I mean, it was like this. Let me give you the example. It was like I was talking. Oh, yeah, man. So the other day I did this and I went here. Have you ever gone there? Oh, really? Oh, you got that? It was like I was having a conversation in my head and nobody could hear the podcast. I checked every setting. Like, you would think this would be like a first timer's mistake. I've been doing this for years. I checked every setting. Everything showed that he was there. This is why I hate. Anyway. So unfortunately, I will show you some clips from that podcast because obviously it's not going to be the same conversation, but it's just going to be me. It's not Nick, and I apologize to Nick, and I didn't want to wait for him to come back because we're both busy. So I am going to bring Nick back once my StreamYard podcast launches. It's the same podcast, but once that platform launches, I'm going to record a StreamYard episode with him. We've got some great topics that we can talk about, but unfortunately, I'm going to redo this one. And I'll be honest with you guys, I almost was like, screw it, I'll come up with a different topic. But I think it's important because last week I did talk about James Gunn and everything going on in DC. Not our DC Universe. I want to talk about Marvel. And I want to talk about it because Marvel has some shows and movies slated for 2025 that are fitting more into what I think Marvel will succeed in. And they are, they changed a lot. They were overindulging us with massive content and it didn't all hit. Some of the things that they did were kind of misses. Some of the things they did probably shouldn't have been done the way they were. I think they did put out too much content and it was quantity over quality. And I'm not talking about these people that come on and go, oh, the CGI looks bad, or, oh, that dialogue. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about concepts from a story perspective. I don't think they need to do some of it. Some of the movies could have been shows. Some of the shows could have been movies. Some of the shows could have been longer. Some of them didn't have to be made yet. And then, of course, we got into the big situation, which I'll say it. I think the whole Kang Dynasty storyline was doomed from the start, not because Kang was not a good character, but because Marvel didn't handle it the way they should have. We went through multiple movies and shows without getting anything from Kang. And in one aspect, you have to do it different than you did Thanos. You can't just have the same formula to build up Kang the way you can Thanos. I understand that. But you also have to start putting things in the movies that lead you to believe that something is going on. They went with the multiversal saga, okay? And that really, if you look at what they did with Loki, the TVA, the multiverse, it worked. And it gave us Kang, a variant of Kang, the chosen one. And it was an awesome, awesome variant. But it set the tone and it introduced us to Kang. But you didn't give him anything in any movies. You literally had a movie, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and you didn't even address Kang. You didn't even give us like a Easter egg. You didn't even give us when you were in the world where we met Reed Richards and we met, all these Professor Xavier. You could have took an opportunity to talk about Kang. Well, we've already had to deal with this guy. And you could have talked about Kang, but you didn't. It's literally called the Multiverse of Madness. You told us that the multiverse is out there. You showed us that these things are destroying the timeline, which goes with Loki, but you didn't even give us a hint on Kang. Okay. Moon Knight. Love Moon Knight. Loved Moon Knight. Such an interesting character. The average person that watched Moon Knight just because they're a Marvel fan, or maybe they're a Moon Knight fan, or maybe they're just getting into it, did not pick up the 5 to 8 second, I don't even want to call it an Easter egg, a semi Easter egg of Kang's variant in the movie. They didn't pick it up. It was just for the people like me that are complete dorks and looking for stuff like that. But it had no impact on the film. It had no impact on the story. It had no impact leading up to Kang. And that's fine. You didn't have to do that. Like, that almost would have been acceptable had they done some other stuff. Miss Marvel. The best Marvel, mind you, out of that. The Marvels and Captain Marvel. Miss Marvel's great. Cool show, different but cool. The Bangles, which are connected to Shang-Chi, and then they're calling out to somebody, right? The Bangles were calling out to somebody. Who were they calling out to? We assumed they were calling out to Kang. Because when you see Ant-Man and the Wasp, when we finally get Kang the Conqueror, that variant, and we see him trapped, he's got this technology that very much resembles the Bangles. And I'm not talking about the 80s band. They do nothing with it. Nothing. Then you give us Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Fine. Nobody's really happy with that movie. I was entertained. Wasn't great. Better than Thor Love and Thunder, maybe. Thor Love and Thunder at least had Christian Bale. Jonathan Majors did a phenomenal job in yet another Kang role. Remember, guys, he's played 3 variants of Kang, all different and very cool. Technically more, but we got some screen time with 3 variants. You kill him, which we don't know how that story was going to be completed. We don't know what was going to happen with that story because they fired Jonathan Majors, which is a regret. Let's call it what it is. And then that's it. Once the Jonathan, and the thing is, it was long doomed prior to the Jonathan Majors court situation, girlfriend situation, all that. Let me fix this, guys. I'm going to fix this microphone. And I'm using this microphone right now because I'm talking a lot with my hands. And I don't want it to, I probably screwed it up. I just don't want to knock over my other microphone. And I'm drinking coffee. It's just easier for me. I like the position I'm in. I got this new chair and I'm like, Anyway, I still got to work on my lighting situation. That sucks so bad. Anywho, sorry for the muffle. Anyway, it was doomed before the Jonathan Majors situation. I firmly believe that they took that into consideration. They saw the way that the Kang storyline was not progressing or the complaints, and they used that as an opportunity to get rid of Majors and start over. Because let's not forget, Avengers Doomsday, or whatever they're calling it, it is Doomsday, was supposed to be Avengers Kang Dynasty. We saw the Council of Kangs. They haven't even acknowledged what happened to the Council of Kangs. We're just going to... Oh, they'll forget about it. I mean, at least show them get killed. Or something. Honestly, in Wolverine and Logan, another multiversal movie, and shows the chaos of the multiverse, should have just had Deadpool come in. Did I say Wolverine and Logan? Sorry. Deadpool and Wolverine. They should have just had Deadpool go in and kill all the Kangs. Just kill them and leave. It would have been funny and it kind of would have fit. But Kang's over. I think it's a mistake. I think Kang's a cool character. I think they could have done some really cool stuff with Kang. And it's over now. Okay, no problem. But let's look at some of the things real quick before we start talking about why I think that this could be a really great year for Marvel. Even with not everything landing big, I think it could be a really great year for Marvel. And here's some of the things I hope to see. So we got Daredevil Born Again. It drops its new episode. We're on episode 3 now. I haven't watched the 3rd episode yet. It dropped the first, or is it 4 episodes? I can't remember if they're doing 2 episodes a week. Anyway, I don't know. Daredevil Born Again takes place 6 years after the Daredevil series and all the stuff that took place on the Netflix show. First 2 episodes were awesome. The first episode had some weird reshoot thing you could tell. But as the episode went on, it was good. And the second episode was really good. So despite everybody, all the talking heads and people out there, the loud few that are like, oh, the CGI was bad. Oh, this show sucked. It's a good show. I'm tired of these babies. I'm tired of, even me. I'm nobody. I'm just a podcaster hanging out. I'm nobody. I got zero credentials, right? I mean, not zero, but I do have some. I did work for a company and used to write movies for them. Used to write articles for them and review movies and go to movies and write about that. And even got to interview a couple people, but that company sucks. So we don't talk about that. They're just talking movies on the web. That's all they're doing. So, they just whine. But Daredevil's a good series. You have Thunderbolts dropping in May. Okay. Mind you, we just had Captain America Brave New World drop in February. It succeeded the box. It won at the box office. If you look at the numbers, how the budget, and you look at what the turnout was at the box office, it's a box office success for what it did. We've got Thunderbolts. We got in June Ironheart coming out. In May, the Fantastic Four First Steps. Then we've got in August on Disney Plus, the Eyes of Wakanda series, which is an animated series looking at Wakanda. I don't know exactly if it's going into the prequel of Wakanda post Black Panther. I don't know. Marvel Zombies finally hits in October. It's going to be a shorter series, but it's there. And then Wonder Man allegedly is coming in December. It's a series. Now, then you kind of look at what's going on in 2026. Avengers Doomsday, May 1st, 2026. Allegedly, Spider-Man 4, July 31st, 2026. That's all they have slated right now. Then you're going into Avengers Secret Wars, 2027. Black Panther 3 has been talked about in 2028. X-Men live action 2028, allegedly. Now, Kevin Feige has said that Marvel will slow down the numbers and movies and series in the 2025 so they can really build them up. There's also we still have the long-awaited, highly anticipated Blade film that was supposed to come out. Who knows? But if you look at what they're doing in 2025, they are doing what they need to do. They are looking at, we have some great characters that can be part of the Marvel Universe, the MCU, the proper timeline, without being part of this big, giant, multiversal story. Take Daredevil, for example. Grounded hero in New York. Not to say that Daredevil has never fought some people that have maybe been a little, lean more towards the superhero, typical superhero story or the supernatural, but grounded, right? Kingpin, Spider-Man, Punisher, Bullseye, grounded characters in New York. And that is part of the MCU. And they do a very good job of acknowledging some of the things that have happened in New York, in the world, without really making it cheesy and without making it obvious. They incorporate that story with the rest of the Marvel characters without jumping, oh, we need Daredevil to be with Iron Man. They don't have to do it. Would it be cool? Yes, I still want Daredevil and Spider-Man to be together at some point. I think that's awesome. But if they don't do it, it's totally fine. And it still addresses some of those characters. Thunderbolts. We have seen all these characters before, whether we liked them all or not, doesn't matter. It makes sense. We know them. Having Elena back, love her. I think that's great. For a multitude of reasons, I love her. But we now have this story where the Avengers are kind of no more right now, if you think about it. Captain America is just being put in that position to try to bring the Avengers back. We ain't seen the Hulk since She-Hulk. And I don't even know if they're acknowledging that. Okay? I don't know. Hulk's gone. Thor, He's out running around with his newly adopted daughter somewhere. We don't know. He's kind of just off-world, been off-world. Black Widow's dead. Hawkeye, we saw him. Kind of semi-retired. Okay. I mean, who else? Brody was a Skrull. Who am I forgetting here? Iron Man's dead. Doctor Strange is trying to hold things together, but he is the only one that is dealing with this multiversal stuff. Nobody knows who Spider-Man is, really, except for maybe a handful of people, and that's debatable. So the Avengers are gone. By all means, like they just kind of disappeared after their last big battle with Thanos. There is no team. And it's a perfect opportunity to take these misfits and make them a team while still, again, being in the Marvel world and slowly progressing the story with Thunderbolts. Because it happened with Captain America. Captain America focused on Captain America. They addressed some of the issues of the previous Hulk films while still bringing some of that really cool story from the Edward Norton Hulk into Captain America. And then gave us that little this is why you need the team back together. Because the leader said, it's coming. There are others that are coming to your world that you're not going to be able to stop. Captain America was like, what, Thanos? He's not talking about that. He's talking about the other timelines. Because the leader is thinking so far ahead. He knows about the multiverse. Anthony Mackie's Captain America really hasn't dealt with the multiverse at all. I'm sure he understands that they're, based on the timelines, because let's not forget, he did come back to life after Avengers Infinity War. In Endgame, he came back, so they brought him back somehow, so he's got to have an idea about, maybe there's multiverse, but he don't know. So he's kind of clueless. He's thinking there's going to be an invasion of some sort. The Thunderbolts are directly dealing with the Void, and we're going to find that out in the Thunderbolts. So the Void is directly connected to the multiverse, the TVA, and all that. So that is going to push the storyline. But again, it's building up these characters, pushing the multiversal storyline, but not to the point where somebody who just wants to watch what they like can't watch this movie without watching 50 other movies to understand it. You can watch Captain America and enjoy it, even if you've never seen the Hulk films. You might be a little slightly clueless, but you're smart enough to put it together. But it's not like you got to go back and watch Edward Norton's Hulk. I think you should, but you don't have to. If you saw Avengers Endgame, you know that Captain America, Steve Rogers, handed it to Falcon and said, you're the next one. That's all you need to know. Marvel has to do a better job when it comes to these little movies, I call them, the Thunderbolts movies, and like that, to be in the world, push your little story if you have to, but make it so people can enjoy it. And I think that's what they're doing. I feel that. Ironheart, it's a perfect series to do. Doesn't really matter. I don't really think we need it. But if it's a one-off series, cool. Will she be around in a bunch of movies? I don't know. She was in Wakanda Forever, but quite frankly, other than why she was in it, I don't remember much of it. She is not the reason I enjoyed Wakanda Forever. And quite frankly, I think you could skip Ironheart. I'm not mad at it. I just think you could skip. But if you have a platform, if you have Disney Plus and a platform, this is the content that you need to put on it. The Eyes of Wakanda animated series, Marvel needs to do more animation. 100%. That's the one thing that they've been missing for a while now, since Disney bought them, is animation. The What If series, great. I haven't watched the new Spider-Man series. I've heard great things about it. I'm going to watch it. I just haven't got to it yet. But again, animated series, great. Do it. The little I Am Groot shorts, I've talked about shorts, guys. I'm not into them, but they're fun. So, okay, I'm cool with that animation. Everybody's like, well, what about Across the Spider-Verse? Yes, that's Sony. Yes, it's Marvel, but it's Sony. And they're screwing it up. They've already screwed it up. we may never see the third final film because they have wet the bed on that one and crapped the bed and threw up in the bed and then set the bed on fire. It is delayed so much that I'm going to have to figure out. I mean, dude, I took Luke to see that, what, a year and a half ago? Give or take? Maybe 2. Dude's going to be graduated high school and he's going to have to take me because I won't be allowed to drive anymore before we see the third one. So they're screwing that up. But as far as animation goes, we haven't got it. So doing an Eyes of Wakanda series, I'm into that. Let's go explore Wakanda some more, you know? Let's do it. That's why I think Marvel Zombies is cool. I like that they're releasing it around October. You know, it's a kind of a continuation of what we saw in What If. Now, I don't think it's the same characters. Maybe it will be. I know they're bringing in, you know, a lot of the new characters for Marvel Zombies, which kind of bums me out. I like the idea of, you know, Black Panther and Spider-Man and Ant-Man's floating head taking on zombies. And again, guys, this is just part of the What If series. It's just an exploration of the comic books. If you've never read the Marvel Zombies, it's awesome. It's so awesome. Like, it's just a cool story. So being able to do it on a series around October, animated, perfect. Doesn't have to be anything. Doesn't have to be connected to anything. Can just be fun. Wonder Man's going to be interesting. And again, I don't know what they're going to do with it. And I could see that one getting pushed a little. I don't think we're going to see Wonder Man dive into all kinds of movies, and I'm okay with it. But I do think this could be one of those dark horse shows, kind of like Miss Marvel, where it's a lot better than we thought it was going to be. So they're doing a good job. But if you look at that, Thunderbolts pushing forward the story of the multiverse leading to Doomsday. Fantastic Four might be the biggest movie that Marvel has had on their slate since Infinity War, because we have not had a really good Fantastic Four film since the Jessica Alba days, and those weren't good. We just thought they were fun and entertaining. They nailed it at some points. Like Silver Surfer was great. They might have peed away on Galactus though at the end of that, and they probably should have never done it. Doomsday was meh. But look at the time they came out. Not Doomsday, Doctor Doom. Look at the time they came out. It was better than that crappy remake we got back in the early 2000s. So having Fantastic Four with the cast that you have, the direction you're going in, going back to the 60s, no origin story, and I'm sure they're going to kind of talk about it, but it's not an origin story because we don't need one. Like I said with Batman, if you don't know the Fantastic Four origin story by now, I don't know what to tell you. Google. I think addressing it is cool, but it's back in the 60s, and they're pulling from the comic books of the early days of Fantastic Four, which I like. Now, the first steps is a really interesting thing, because is it first steps as this is the first time that we're seeing Fantastic Four? Or is this first steps as in Galactus's first steps? Or is it first steps in a new world? Because I have a theory. I think Galactus is obviously a big deal. That's stupid to say. I don't think he's the main. I don't think you're going to see Galactus throughout the entire film. I don't. I think his presence will be there. I think you will see him, but he's not going to be right off the bat. I think you're going to see some other villains. We know we have a Silver Surfer, a female Silver Surfer, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I think Galactus is such a big character, you have to treat him that way. And I say big as in not size. I'm talking about storyline with the Fantastic Four, storyline for Marvel, threat to everybody. I mean, this is a Thanos level, if not bigger, threat to everybody because of what he does and how he lives and how he gets his energy. So I don't think you're going to just like have him as a one-off in that movie. I think he's very much going to come back. And I think they're going to set that up. Now, why is there a female Silver Surfer? Well, this is where it gets a little tricky, and I don't know. I'm going to refrain from judgment. I don't know if that would have been the direction I was going to go. Here's where it gets tricky. There was a female surfer in the comic books while there was the Silver Surfer that everybody knows, okay, for a short period of time. And there's history there, and I'm not going to dive into those notes because I'm not 100% cleared or remember all those. I do know some of it, but I'm not going to. We'll have to Google it. If that's something you guys want to find out about, let me know. So I think that it was kind of a bad idea because the average person doesn't know that Silver Surfer. That's one side of my thoughts. The other side of my thoughts is the people that are just going to cry and scream about gender swapping, race swapping, wokeness, and all that are going to do it no matter what. If Galactus's head was a shade darker purple, they'd cry about it. So I don't care about them. The other side is I don't believe for 1 second that the Fantastic Four is on the same Earth as we know it, as 616. I don't believe that the Fantastic Four is in the same timeline as our main MCU timeline. I don't. Okay? Because where have they been this whole time? You're telling me through Thanos and through everything, through Ultron, through Loki, through everything that's happened, we've never heard anything of the Fantastic Four? Nah. I don't think they're on the timeline. Plus, it's in the 60s. Okay? This isn't a let's go back in time and talk about the Fantastic Four. This is we're on a different planet, a different Earth. Yes, it's Earth. But this might be the Earth where they are the only superheroes. This might be the Earth where there is a female Silver Surfer, or a world where there's a female Silver Surfer, because it's different. I believe, and I hope I'm not giving any spoilers away, that this Silver Surfer will die in this world. I believe that this Silver Surfer will die at the hands of Galactus. Brandon, what do you mean? Well, I think that this Silver Surfer comes to lead Galactus to this planet and has been doing so since the Fantastic Four got their powers. I think the Fantastic Four have fought off other villains. I think that Silver Surfer is leading Galactus to this planet to fuel up. Because remember, it converts all living things to energy, right? Well, why can't it just eat the sun? Because the sun isn't living. It has to have that living. It doesn't eat planets. It eats the materials and living things off that. The animals, the people, the grass, the plants, the trees, and converts it into energy. Anything that has living energy. Okay, the sun isn't living. It also does use the sun at times, though, to fuel its ship. And that's a story. That was a brief thing that he tried to do. I'm not going to get into that. But that's what Galactus does. So when they say eater of worlds, eater of planets, he's not literally picking up the earth. And I mean, he could, but he's not. And there's been comic books where he's grabbing, anyway. But it's what he converts it into. Galactus can also grow in size, for all you guys that are confused. Like, bro, Galactus is supposed to be huge in the universe, and here he's looking down on the city like Godzilla. Well, Galactus can also shrink down to a normal human size and walk among people. So, and the hungrier he gets, the smaller he gets. Like when he's drained of energy, he's smaller. It takes a lot of energy to be that big. So there you go. But I think that she is going to lead Galactus there, and I think she's going to have a second thought on what she's doing. And as Galactus is destroying the Fantastic Four's current world, she gets in a battle with him and dies, and it gives the Fantastic Four time to escape through the space bridge, which Reed Richards was creating in the comic books, has created. And if you look in the trailer on his chalkboard, it looks like a diagram of the space bridge, and it takes them to another timeline. That's how they enter our world, the main storyline, which takes us right to Doomsday, which takes us right to Secret Wars, which they're going to be a part of. So I don't think Galactus dies. I think they escape. But it would explain why the Silver Surfer dies. And if we ever see a Silver Surfer again, it's a new person taking that role. Now, I don't know if I'm right. They could completely do the opposite of it. They could kill off this Galactus, but I think it's really dumb to kill off this Galactus and then go, oh, there's another one. I think it'd be cooler to see Galactus escape. Galactus can cross multi-dimensional stuff. Just because that world died doesn't mean that he's not in the galaxy still. And he could find a way to come over when they decide to have Fantastic Four and Galactus go at it again. Now, the question is, will Doom be in there? The connection between Dr. Doom and Fantastic Four is huge. Will he be in there? I think you have to give us some sort of cameo, some sort of something with Doom. And I think it has to be Robert Downey's Dr. Doom. And we're going to get to RDJ in a minute. Because looking at the schedule, he's not going to appear in Eyes of Wakanda. There's a big connection to Doom and Wakanda. Marvel Zombies, no. Wonder Man, no. The next movie's Doomsday. Now, that movie's done by the Russo brothers. It's going to be 3 hours long. They could build that up, but we've got to see. I think it's a fatal mistake if you don't even acknowledge Dr. Doom and the Fantastic Four. Maybe this Dr. Doom comes over. Maybe their version of Dr. Doom is RDJ, and he comes over. Maybe the real version of because I still think that Dr. Doom, that RDJ's version of Dr. Doom, is not the real Dr. Doom. I think it's a variant. And I don't think that we're going to see the real version of Dr. Doom till maybe later, at the end of Secret Wars. Or maybe the real version of Dr. Doom comes over and kills RDJ's version. Maybe he's been manipulating the system the whole time. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. I think it's a bold move to make RDJ Dr. Doom, but I think seeing him as a villain is awesome. And I think the way that he immerses himself in the role, regardless of how long he is in these films, I think it's going to be great. I do. And remember, guys, he could be a variant. I know a lot of people are like, oh, and I think it's a bold move, but I think that when you got rid of Jonathan Majors, you scratched that storyline that you've been working on with Kang. You said, we got to get somebody. We cannot screw up Secret Wars. That is one of the biggest storylines. You can't screw it up. We got the Russo brothers back. The Russo brothers can handle a major ensemble cast with a major story crossed over multiple planets and cities and all that. They've proven that. Well, if you're going to get the Russo brothers back, the Russos need something big. Let's not just cast somebody as Doom. Let's bring RDJ back. And RDJ only came back because the story was right, the Russo brothers was there, and it was a fat payday. RDJ could have came back anytime, and they said no. And I don't think that there was any plans for RDJ to be in the Kang Dynasty Secret Wars. I don't. Not that version. This is as big as seeing Tom Cruise playing Supreme Iron Man, if that was going to happen. It absolutely is as big. So I'm skeptical, but I'm kind of excited to see it. And I think we're going to get a lot of that. And I think Fantastic Four has the opportunity. I mean, could it make $1 billion? Yeah, I don't think it's going to. I think we won't see $1 billion until we get to the next 2 Avenger films. But I think Fantastic Four, coming out in July, is going to be massive. Undeniably massive. I mean, I am. Now I gotta check here. Let's confirm that Fantastic Four is actually coming out when it says it is. Yeah, July 25th, because Superman comes out July 11th. Guys, this is summer of blockbusters. Starting in April with Minecraft. I don't care what anybody says. That movie looks fun, and I don't even care about the game. Minecraft. April. Month later. Less than a month. May. A month later, Superman. Month later, Jurassic World Rebirth. Don't care. 20 days later, 23 days later, Fantastic Four. Dude, summer blockbusters. But you're looking at Robert Downey Jr. will take the role. I'm excited about that. It's going to be interesting. We need to move past the Avengers, and I think they're doing that. I think it's okay to take a time out from the Avengers. I really do. I know everybody's like, what about the Young Avengers? What about, yeah, you can do that. Sure. But they're going towards Fantastic Four and mutants and the X-Men. We already have several mutants in the current MCU right now. Well, we know that, what's his face? Namor is a mutant. He's not some god or anything. He's a mutant. Miss Marvel is a mutant. It was confirmed. We now have Wolverine in our current timeline. He's a mutant. We saw Beast. He's in a different world, but he's there. It's coming. So we have mutants now. They're starting to pop up, and I think they're going to really start looking at that. And I think we're going to see more of that in Secret Wars. I think Secret Wars is ultimately going to give us the X-Men. Maybe not all of them. We got Professor Xavier. I mean, granted, it was a different timeline. He's dead now. But they're starting to play with that. So getting further and further away from the Avengers, I'm okay with that. I think it's fine. Now, the big thing that they need to do, we know Tom Holland is coming back, okay? We know. Tom Holland is coming back, not just for Secret Wars and Doomsday, which is another reason why I think it's going to be really cool. Because could you imagine Tom Holland's face seeing Doomsday without his mask, or Dr. Doom without his mask, and it looks like Iron Man, and the torment and the torture and the emotional damage that he's going to get from that? Oh my God. That's huge. So I think that's going to be big too. We also know, for all you comic book fans out there, Secret Wars is the black suit, right? Forget Venom. Secret Wars is the symbiote, the black suit that Spider-Man gets. If you don't acknowledge that, if you don't, especially with the piece of the symbiote over, in our world, even though allegedly I don't know, I'm confused. Don't worry about Sony. Sony sucks. If you don't acknowledge that Tom Holland gets the black suit in Secret Wars, you've missed a big opportunity. Now, Spider-Man is returning. We have talked about that he's supposed to be in 5 movies: Doomsday, Secret Wars, and 3 other films. Now, that being said, we don't know if they're really going to confirm 3 films, but there's a big opportunity here, a big opportunity for Tom Holland to have the whole black suit Venom situation, even though Tom Hardy's Venom is in a different universe. There's that. But there's another opportunity to give us the more grounded Spider-Man, at least for 1 movie. Because we haven't had a grounded Spider-Man in a long time. When he debuted in Civil War, that was pretty grounded. But then immediately after that, he was in space. And we had the whole Thanos thing. Well, not immediately after that. I guess he had a movie after that. That was pretty grounded with Michael Keaton. But then you look at the rest of his films, and it wasn't very grounded. It was a lot more things going on. The last one, No Way Home, I mean, multiversal chaos. No mention of Kang, by the way. But it would be really cool to see him with that black suit. He's got his new identity because nobody knows who he is. And we start to see that process of that suit take over. I'm not saying that you have to sit there and give us a symbiote in the very first film, but you can hint, and then by the second film, he gets rid of it, and the third film, he fights Venom. Or we have Null. They introduced Null, who's the king of all symbiotes, and he was trapped. They introduced him in the final Venom film, gave us a pretty cool idea of what he could do because he's a threat. He is an Avenger level threat. You could have that crossover into Spider-Man. You could give us a Venom Spider-Man team up. I don't want that, but there's a lot of opportunities. So what we're looking at, though, is Spider-Man 4 has an early draft already, and they were still working on an idea of this blockbuster. So we get to finally kind of see Doctor Strange's spell caused everyone to forget Spider-Man. How does Spider-Man deal with that? What better way for Spider-Man to deal with that than have a black suit? He gets to fight alongside all these people that don't know who he is. Maybe he finds out a way to reverse the spell. Maybe he finds out a way to start all over, because that's really what Peter Parker wanted, to separate the two, because all his friends and family were getting hurt because of his dual roles. But they have to address that. They have to address the black suit. If they don't, it's a miss. It's just a miss. So there's a lot of opportunities here to not only progress this story, it's got to be handled right, which is why I think the Russo brothers are the perfect pick. It's got to be proper writing. It's got to end certain storylines. Like, I think this is a great opportunity to end Thor's stories. To end Thor's storyline. You know, I think this is a great opportunity to have Thor kind of come back and wrap it up. You know, Hemsworth has said he wants to wrap it up. He also really is focusing on spending more time with his family. He did a whole thing about that. It's not to say he's not acting anymore, but he is doing a whole thing on that, spending time with his family, which is great. But I think it would be awesome to have Thor end properly. I'm not even saying die. I'm just saying end properly, because if Thor Love and Thunder is the way that he's supposed to end, that's not cool. That movie was a joke. I need to go back and watch it again. And as much as I liked some of the characters, and I loved Christian Bale as Gore, they messed up the whole. They messed it up. So we will see what's going to happen, but I think the MCU has a great opportunity to kind of revamp it and still continue to push this IP and push these stories. And then I think they really need to slow it down again and start focusing more on quality content. If you release one movie a year and a show a year, I think that's enough. You can do one-offs. You know, we're supposed to get the Punisher one-off, allegedly. You know, you did this Werewolf by Night one-off, and it was one of the coolest things they've done. Do another one. Give us some Man Beast, you know, Man Thing. You debuted them, give it to us, you know. You look at kind of what they're doing with Marvel Zombies is essentially a one-off series, but why not look at some of these other characters like one-shot comic books and treat it that way? Give us a Disney Plus Marvel film. You know, instead of a series, give us an hour and a half movie of a character. Why not? So I think there's a lot of opportunities there. I think they've learned. Spend the money, man. If you're cutting down quantity a lot, you can spend the money on casting, directing, writers, and CGI for those people that freak out about it. I do think that they've cheapened out. I think movies in general have cheapened out on CGI. When you look back at early CGI from like the 2000s and you compare it to now, there's a lot of it that's just gone cheap. It just doesn't even look realistic. And you have bigger budgets now. And I know they're like, well, we're cutting our budget, because people aren't going to the movies. Well, maybe they go to the movies if you actually gave them some love and tender care. I don't know. What do you guys think? What are you excited about when it comes to Marvel? What do you think is going to be the big one? What do you think is going to be the miss? Let me know. You can email me at the Life of an Average Show podcast at gmail.com. I'm really taking my time on the email shows this year. We are about to wrap up season 17 soon. So I am, going to have to do something, but I'm just really taking time on the email show. I don't feel like doing it, to be honest with you. And I've gotten some emails and comments and messages, but nothing that I think is great for a show. So that's the truth. And you can go ahead and go to lifeofanaverageshowpodcast.com. Of course, Spotify, as you know, I always leave questions on there, and you can just message me on all my social media. Apparently TikTok's around for a little bit, although it's supposed to disappear in April, and then they'll play a game with us once again. But there's lots of ways to get hold of me. Leave your comments, questions, concerns, what you want to see from Marvel, maybe what you want to see from the show too. Still waiting on those review guys. I'm begging you guys to give me a review. I ain't got nobody give me a review. What's wrong with you? All right, we'll see you next time. And next time I'll have a new light.